So I'm allowed to make the introduction. They trusted me. I didn't ask how I should do it, I just do it. So we are a round of people who know each other from the 90s on, working in very different constellations on different projects. But the main topic is that we all create access to local, translocal and contemporary performance art and to traces of that art form. So I went a bit through the 90s, the O's, the 10s and the 20s. In the 90s, I would say we became curators, creating festivals in Basel, creating performance art events, small and big ones, for presenting and discussing performance art. In the zeros, we became researchers and researchers. So we reach out to feminist performance art histories through interviews, through doing actually re-performances, and to invite these protagonists and perform along with them. This project was called Performance Saga, and it involved quite some of us. Others were doing research at the art school or art universities. It's my line of announcing us. So in the 10s, I would say we became editors and founders of associations. So it became a bit more formal and institutional. But association is the smallest form of an institution in Switzerland. So we started to publish, and this happened in 2 volumes in Basel with the Performance Chronicle, Basel. You can see the first one there, and the second one there, and you can see the editors coming along with it. Then, that was 2011 and 16. Then 2012 in Bern came out the Performance Almanac. We don't have it with us, but Gisela was involved in that. So it was a first attempt to write history of little towns in Switzerland, of the performance art in these towns. And in these 10s, we also created a national network for performance, a more formal national networks for actors of performing arts. It's called Punch. That's how you announced us. Now the Punch comes. Punch stands for P, Performance Art Network CH. And Gisela brought the sign of our community, the Quinces, because that's how we founded our association and where we celebrate around the Quince tree the birthday of its association every year. And in the 20s, we started out, we started out a big collaboration where all of us were involved, called Revolving Histories. So, I don't know if it's turning upside down or reading back and forth. And it's a look at the performance art in Switzerland, so not in single towns, but all having a look out and around the country. Still small, but it's a wider look already. And it's a threefold project. The first part was, and still is, everything is still ongoing. So the first part I would name as making research with doing mappings, collecting mappings in different towns in Switzerland, doing interviews with important actors, or mainly with the older generation, because we thought we should hurry up. The second part was a huge exhibition. I mean, huge is just considering performance art to be exhibited for 2.5 months at Museum d'Angeli in Basel. So this part is over. But it was a 2.5 month exhibition where this came out of. And it's wanted to show the translocal networks within performance art, and it also created the frame for this online platform where we could seduce all artists, performance artists we got to know through the mappings and the interviews and through our lives, to upload their documents of performance art. So this is the QR code leading to that platform, which was in collaboration with Tabea, but she will speak about that later, and is still taken care of, with about 2,000 entries, and 600 of them still need to be tagged. Yes. And the third part is that's where we are in the middle of, is 2 publications where we want to describe the state of affairs. Yes, now I hand over to Muda.
Okay. Dear Andrea, you forgot to say you started in the 80s, 90s, but before, 10 years before, you started as a performance artist.
89.
Also, am Anfang war das Kunst machen und dann war das Kunst zeigen und reflektieren. Also, muss man schon auch sagen. Ja, gerne.
In the beginning there was the art of making and then the art presenting, showing.
Reflecting. Ja. Und natürlich immer auch aus einer Not heraus, weil es zu wenige gab, die das gemacht hätten für uns.
And also out of a necessity, because there were not many people who would do it for us.
Genau. Und ich habe in den 90er Jahren begonnen, an der Kunsthochschule zu unterrichten bei den Bildhauern.
I started teaching at an art academy with students that were doing sculpture.
Und Studierende sagten dann zu mir, du machst doch auch Performance, sollen wir nicht auch ein bisschen Performance machen zusammen? Zeig uns mal, wie das geht. Und dann habe ich gesagt, ja, das machen wir.
And the students asked me, well, we are also doing performance. Can't you show us? Let's do some performance together. And Muda said, yes, let's do it.
Und es hat bei uns wieder explodiert. Es gab plötzlich wieder so ein Interesse, das war mal in den Ende 80er Jahre abgeflaut. Es gab kein Interesse mehr für Performancekunst, weil Performancekunst ist blöd. Weil das sind nur narzisstische, expressive Schweißspritzer.
So, in the end of the 80s, the attention and interest for performance was diminishing because, as Muda said, performers were considered to be narcissistic, self-expressive, spreading subjects. So after that there was a sort of an explosion of interest in performance again.
Ja. So Mitte, Ende 90er Jahren kamen Studieren wieder und ich habe gar nichts gesehen, nie was gesehen, sondern haben nur in tollen Büchern und ihren Theorie Vorlesungen was von Performance gehört.
So the middle and the end of the 90s students who actually who only saw performance in books and theoretical journals or theory in theory, they were rediscovering performance, if I may say so.
Genau. Aber sie haben auch da wieder angesetzt. Sie haben auch, für sie war dann eben Abramowitsch das Größte. Alles, was in den 70er Jahren war, wo ich eigentlich mal studiert habe, das war die große Sache. Und mich hat es dann plötzlich, mir hat was gefehlt.
So, for the students, Marina Abramović was the big name. Everything that happened in the 70s was amazing. And Muda was there also in the 70s. She did also performances, but for her there was something missing still.
Genau. Ich wollte, dass die Studierenden eben Arbeiten sehen von Künstlerinnen und Künstlern von der eigenen Stadt, von der eigenen Umgebung, die sie treffen könnten und wo sie vielleicht auch darüber sprechen könnten.
So Muda urged them to meet and to see and to talk to artists who were living in their cities and from whom they could actually, with whom they could engage in conversations while they were still there.
Genau. Und da wir da in dieser Zeit, Sabine und Margret von Büren und ich zusammen diese Performance-Chronik Basel gerade aufarbeiteten, konnte ich sehr gut meine Freundinnen, meine Kollegen aus der Stadt fragen, kannst du mal bitte mir deine Performance-Dokumente, Videos und Fotos mal geben. Wir möchten das alles zusammensammeln und weil wir möchten gerne darüber schreiben und wir möchten das zugänglich machen.
That was the time when Muda was working with Sabine and Margret von Büren on Performance Chronic Basel, where Muda was able to invite all her friends and all her colleagues, asking them, can you please share with us your document, your material, so that we can write the history of performing arts, not only in Basel.
Genau. Doch eigentlich in Basel. Aber es war ein Anfang und es ging eigentlich nur darum, weil meine Kolleginnen hatten Vertrauen in mich und dass ich nicht eine böse Institution bin, sondern dass ich es ehrlich meine. Das war einfach, darum ging das überhaupt. Ohne zu fragen, ja, wie viel Geld und was bin ich jetzt für immer safe oder eben Kontrolle, ja, Archivierung, Kontrolle. Sie haben mir geglaubt, dass ich es nur zugänglich machen will.
What was important that these artists and friends were trusting Muda. They didn't ask her immediately, okay, what is the honorary or what is the fee I will get? But they trusted that that will be a written trace, that the history will be made.
Und dann kam eben Tabea ins Spiel an der Schule und wir konnten diese fantastische Plattformen, diese Sammlungen und da diese Dokumente einsehbar machen für die Studierenden, aber dann auch jetzt größer machen. Das war ein großes Glück. Und ich bin eben ein Fan, ja, von Archivierung, zugänglich machen. Ich habe sehr darunter gelitten, dass vor lauter Selbstkontrolle, ja, einfach alle haben immer Angst, es gibt böse Menschen, die einem ausbeuten wollen und das verwenden und ich weiß nicht, einfach, dass man zu kurz kommt, immer dieses zu kurz kommen. Diese Haltung hat einfach gemacht, dass die ganze Performancekunst überhaupt nicht sichtbar war und in Vergessenheit ging. Ich habe mich geärgert, dass man alles wieder vergisst.
So Muda was quite upset and angry with the fact that everything is being forgotten about performance. And then Tabea came into the play. Tabea was responsible for creating this digital platform where students could see the work of performance, where this memory of performance was made accessible and spread out, and where it actually infected new generations of students. Muda also said that she is a fan of archives, but not of those archives that discipline and that in a way control, but rather that are open and that can retell the memory, that can ensure that performance memory and performance traces are accessible.
Ja. Ich möchte sagen, was Sascha gesagt hat mit Solidarität, dieses wichtige Wort für dich. Für mich ist das wichtige Wort Freundschaft. Ja.
And if what Sasha said, that solidarity is important word for him, Muda says friendship is the word.
Und ich würde sagen, Freundschaft ist wie vorpolitisch, also später wird dann das Solidarität vielleicht, aber es ist, sich in diesem Vorhof des Politischen zu bewegen, ja, das ist, glaube ich, mein Weg oder warum wir da eben aktiv werden können. Und ja, aus Freundschaft ist eben das, was macht, dass wir eine Gewissheit miteinander haben, dass nicht immer alles wieder abbricht. Also wir können sogar Streit haben, wir müssen uns zusammenraufen, wir verletzen einander. Aber Freundschaft macht, dass wir nicht aufgeben, dass es dann eben weitergeht.
So this category of friendship, which Muda was able to philosophize in a very interesting way, and I really would feel bad as if translating Heidegger, but she talks about this idea that friendship is the free political engagement with each other, which assures a continuity in spite of, you know, as friends we have quarrels, we disagree, but despite of that we keep on doing, we keep on being, and this assures that there is a continuity of performance history.
Genau. Das war jetzt mein pathetischer Schluss, jetzt geht es.
That was my pathetic ending, and now I give the word over. I hand the word over.
Yeah, hello everybody, my name is Sabine Gebhardt Fink. I'm a researcher and author and curator, and today I want to give you a short insight into our collaboration, working as a collective and in dialogues. So, it was already mentioned, 2004, Muda Mathis initiated the Performance Chronicle project, and I collaborated there with Muda and Margret von Buren in a collective research. And we invited other artists, art theorists, and scientists, curators, to reflect on performance art. So they contributed, they wrote texts about those documents, rarely seen before. And we were very lucky that we had also an archive from Mr. Muda to really show how many things had happened in Basel. So photographic, yeah, at least, yeah. Genau. And there were two important strategies we used at that time. One was this bottom-up collective remembrance sessions, and the other was the research and dialogue. That means that we always exchanged on the things we found, on the descriptions and on the texts. This was very inspiring and very important as a tool to work. And what does that mean for the volume floating gaps you see here, and you can have a look in our break. We did, for example, video interviews in constellations as 2 or 3 of us, and then we also discussed the results and compiled the book and the website. And also we discussed the concept of the communicative memory, in relation to Marcel Mauss and Jan Assmann. And this topic came out of this floating gaps, which means that things got forgotten and are going with the generations, and at a certain moment, if you don't look at that, it's lost and you cannot reconstruct it. So we were very interested in this generational discussions. Okay. Then as a second research phase in the same constellation, again, Muda, Margit von Buren and me, we did this Aufzeichnen und Erinnern, recording and remembering, starting and to have a look on so we moved forward from the really beginnings in the early years, end of the 60s in Basel, and then we had the idea first we do one book, but then we realized that so many things happened, it does not fit into one volume. So we expanded and then did the second volume, looking at the 1980s until the 2000 years. And this time we enlarged the strategy and also invited other artists, researchers, curators, and activists. For us, it's also very connected political activities and the performance production. And so we did writing texts and collectives. The Casco, for example, Regn, invited us to do this talking about performance, but also inviting other artists or Zeitzeugen, how do you translate that? Witnesses, that they really do the work and write a text. And this you can find then in the second volume. And we also made a series of workshops to look at documentations, the Schwarmsichtung and so on. And especially the recording as part of the remembrance was a topic at that time. So also how much this changes or infiltrates or what. So one sentence I remember was, diese Erinnerung hat sich also als Fiktion herausgestellt. I like that very much. Or very different remembrances from the same thing. So, okay, what did Andrea do at that moment? And in 2021, we started the project already mentioned by Andrea, Revolving Histories, this time in a bigger group, with Muda, Andrea, Chris at the core for me, and for a short time Tancredi Guzman and Dorothea as researchers, and I was a kind of involved in this, and Lena Eriksson, not to forget, but also other friends joining in. So this was a different constellation for collaboration for us. My focus was the construction, debating on counter-archiving, and also in exchange then I'm happy with Andrea Mirchev to work on that and make a short publication on only one tiny event during this big exhibition or performance project at Tankeli Museum in 2022. This was this revolving documents, only 2 days event. And for us it was very important to expand this discourse on performance art in Switzerland, which was in other narrations like this performance process. A lot of male artists where they said, what? That cannot be, because we have seen the documents. Why? So many activists and queer artists missing in this thing. So we got a lot of energy, and also the art market is still a very patriarchal system, we all know that, and really to get out of this thing and find a different viewpoint to work with performance art. And so I only focused on one chapter of the 7 topics. The first was the saga, also influenced by Andrea Saemann and her research, performance research, and so we looked at how our beginnings of performance art told to us today. So this was very interesting, also the fractions and the frictions, different narrations, and also hear different voices, I think. Okay, how many times? 2 minutes left. This discourse exchanges an ongoing thing. After the exhibition in 2022 at Tangley Museum, we started to look at works there, we discussed them, and we want to go further on this exchange. We will have this conference in November, 15th November, where we compare those translocal mappings, but also where we want to exchange about our views on specific performance artworks now retrieved in this beautiful collection. Yeah, and if you're interested in details about this, how to do this collective research, you can have a look on the book by Tancredi, where there's a very long text about this collaborative research methods. Okay, I pass the word.
Yeah. My name is Gisela Hochuli, and I studied art at the ZHDK in Zurich, at the Art Academy in Zurich, with focus performance art, beginning of 2004, yes. 2001 until 2005. Yes. Performance activist, I would say. So I brought you, can you some just hold them. Don't do it. Charles, you can start with the presentation. Yeah. I will talk about instructions, performance instructions, or there are many terms like also scores or set. Yeah. And so I brought you some quizzes. No grapefruits. Grapefruits, that's a book from Yoko Ono. She was creating instructions and published them in this book. So this means that artists already in the 60s, they did instructions. Me personally, I'm very interested in instructions from recent artists or artists they live today, and I invite them to speak an instruction, a performance instruction on the smartphone with the name and the year, and to send it to me. So I have already a small collection. Maybe Charles, the next one. Yeah. So approximately 100 instructions I already have from artists from Europe and also South America, and it's all these instructions are on my hard disk. But with Tabea, yeah, we will do one day. Maybe we can put them on the mediathek of the FINB, and then they will be available for everybody. These instructions, what I do with these instructions, I have also free headsets, and then with instructions on the audios in this headset, and they were already in exhibitions, like 2019 in Emmenbrücke, in the Akku, during the exhibition Eile mit Violet, Zeit für Performance, and also in the Kunstpavillon Burgbrohl in Germany. And I already made a workshop with students at the University of Koblenz, also with all around instructions. They created themselves and they interpreted them also. So you see, this collection is an ongoing project, and if you are interested, please send me an instruction, and I would take it in my collection. So, what do I do also with these instructions? Now the next, Charles. I take the instructions to some of them and I create eigenständige performance. And the performance, the title of the performances is In Strange Hands. Because you give me an instruction and my hands take them, also die kommen dann in meine Hände, and my hands are the strange hands, and they do what I want with these instructions. And so I create performances. And as you see, I show them also at the 2019 at the Akku in Emmenbrücke. I showed a 40-minute performance with around 15 instructions. And also during the online colloquium of this research project, Hanna Hölling, she invited me to do also a performance with the instructions, and they came from the participants of the colloquium. And at the first colloquium, 2021, there were only 3 instructions coming in, and at the second colloquium, we made it mandatory that you, for registering you as a participant, you had to send an instruction. And it was really fun because some of people, they just make a number like 2 or 10 to go on with the registration, or like yes or no, or epsilon or something like that. And I took these numbers or letters, I took them also as an instruction. And I made also a performance with the title In Strange Hands. So, and now we are listening to an instruction, Charles, the first one from Joel.
Nimm eine Kutte in deine linke Hand. Nimm eine zweite Kutte in deine rechte Hand. Rieche an den Kutten, bis sie nicht mehr nach Kutten riechen. Halt beide Kutten an deine Ohren, hör den Kutten zu, bis sie nichts mehr zu sagen haben. Joël Melteriot, November 2018.
It's in very small letters written in English. Take a quince in your left hand. Take a quince in your right hand. Smell the quinces until they no longer smell like quinces. Hold both quinces to your ears. Listen to the quinces until they have nothing more to say.
Thank you, Andrea. So, those, you have the quinces. So if you like, you can do the interpretation, your own performance with this instruction. Yeah. So we will listen to the second one from Clara.
Lass dir von der Morgensonne einen Schatten werfen. Lauf dem Schatten hinterher, bis die Sonne am Horizont verschwindet. Clara Schilliger, 2019.
Let the morning sun cast a shadow and run after the shadow until the sun disappears on the horizon.
So you see, they are already different. There are no limits. I mean, instruction can be so various, surreal, or very, very short, or long, or poetical. So there are really, it's really, how do you say, a big, a treasure of, my collection is a treasure of different instructions. Maybe the last one.
Nimm einen Stein und lege ihn neben dich auf den Boden und warte. Dann ziehst du deinen linken Schuh aus und schlägst mit dem Absatz immer wieder auf den Stein, solange du willst. Dann ziehst du den Schuh wieder an und gehst. Falls du keine Schuhe anhast, nimm ein Kleidungsstück von dir. Als du nackt sein solltest, finde eine Lösung. Rolf Schulz, Februar 2019.
Take a stone and place it on the ground next to you and wait. Then take off your left shoe and keep hitting the stone with the heel for as long as you want. Then put your shoe back on and walk, taking a piece of clothing if you are not wearing shoes. If you are naked, find a solution.
Thank you. Good. Charles, the next one. So we see some photos of the performance I did in Emmenbrücke. Here you see the instructions with the shoe. Next one. Yeah, next one. Next one. And next one. Yeah, it's a little bit small, but here you see the Ablauf, it's how do you say, es ist die Skizze für meine Performance und ich finde das interessant, da kommen die Anleitungen und ich mache eine neue Performance, also ich mache eine Performance daraus und das ist jetzt sozusagen der Ablauf von meiner Performance.
So it is a sketch of my performance and it is combined with the instructions and together they create the work, the performance album.